It's the SKOR North Twin Show.
All right, SKOR North, extra innings, live from Target Field. Declan Goff, Ross Brendel joining me again here on Extra Innings. Hit the like button, subscribe button for Minnesota Twins content. Appreciate everyone who has helped us push over 3,700 subscribers on YouTube. We launched this channel right before the season, so appreciate you guys. Thank you also for all the listeners out there, Apple, Spotify, the SKOR North app, however you listen or consume. We appreciate that. Give us a 5-star rating and help spread the word about the SKOR North Twin Show. Ross has a very exciting quick hitter to get me at the end of the episode that I'm just dire to hear about. He claims he might have used it before, but I'm still excited for it.
Yeah, and if not, we can just spin it a different direction. But the more I thought about it today, I feel like maybe I floated it to you before or a form of it. But we'll talk about when we get there. We got a lot of Dex's clubhouse notes to go through is what I understand.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So game 2 coming up between the Twins and the Royals. The Twins are 1 win away from taking the season series tiebreaker against Kansas City. So one more win is crucial here. Not to say the rest aren't against Kansas City, but one more win. The Twins will hold the tiebreaker against KC going forward, which would be huge in the event that these two teams finish with the same records. So let's start here, though, Roscoe. So Byron Buxton did leave the game yesterday. He left the game with a hip injury, some hip discomfort is how it was diagnosed. I did see him in the clubhouse. Him and Royce Lewis caught up for a little bit before Buxton left to go on his merry way home and post-game, and he seemed like he was in the normal Buxton good spirits. However, he will be going on an MRI right now. So an MRI is happening today. I don't know if those results have been given back to the Twins, but Byron Buxton is seeking an MRI. I will say, Ross, he has stayed, for Buxton standards, relatively healthy. He has missed some time with some injuries in the past, obviously. The knee has always been the big thing that has the chronic issue. Right now, it's a hip. So no Buxton in the starting lineup on Tuesday. MRI right now, but no Byron Buxton for the Minnesota Twins tonight and potentially tomorrow either in the series finale against Kansas City.
You hear hip, and it's mildly scary for multiple reasons. One, Byron Buxton and his injury history, as you alluded to. He's still very fast, so even if it's just a tweak, you can imagine that would slow him down a little bit. You can also imagine what that might do for him at the plate, since so much power is generated from your hips and that midsection. Based off of everything that's happened in Minnesota the last 24 to 48 hours, Declan, with injuries, with Minnesota players, specifically football players, then you go back a few days to the Minnesota Twins, I'm just going to wait till I know more. My hunch is that this won't be anything that the Twins can't deal with or that Byron Buxton and the Twins won't get through. But when you hear MRI, you never like to hear that. But then you also have to think of the player, Declan, that you're probably just doing it out of an abundance of caution just to make sure. At least that's my hope. So I'm not going to overreact to this yet. But to your point, Declan, I'm very ecstatic, I think would be the way to describe the year that they've got out of Byron Buxton. I think we'd all like to maybe see a bit more at the plate, but he's been pretty darn good, and he's been available more often than not, which I think is important. I think the Twins will take that, and Twins fans will take it. And I will definitely say, Declan, on this, wait and see. I have not seen it yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and assume he is not in the starting lineup tonight and probably will not be tomorrow.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah, I think that's fair to probably assume. What's really a bummer here is he has been ripping the cover off the ball, not just for a week, not just for a couple weeks. This has been a 2-month stretch of, this was the Byron Buxton that we've always been kind of expecting. And he got off to a very slow start for the first 2 months of the season. But, in just the last 30 days, Roscoe, he's slugging .725. He's hitting .324. Heck, he's even getting on base at a 400 clip, which is something that even when Buck has been at his prime, he's not really an OBP guy. He's a masher, and he's a guy who's going to pull a lot of home runs. And he's been able to figure out ways to even draw some walks, which is a big sign of his development. But the probably the most disappointing part, and it happened immediately when he left the game, is you don't have a viable backup option. Like Manuel Margot, God bless him, he tries, and he's a great lefty slayer, as I always like to be tongue-in-cheeky with, but you losing Byron Buxton in center field, You go for I have a brand new Ross. I have a brand new Mazda CX-30 that I started leasing like 6 months ago. Humble brag. Love the car. It's a great car, but it is literally like going from that to my '98 Malibu, which I had in high school. So like there is a downgrade there from going from Buxton to Margot into center field.
Well, you lose a lot of range and you lose a lot of quickness. I like what you did there with your car comparison, by the way. And in the past, Declan, you'd put Willie Castro out there, who's probably maybe a preferred center fielder over Manuel Margot. I don't know. I'd have to dig deeper into the numbers on that. I'm just thinking out loud here. But he's got other positions to be playing right now, primarily at shortstop because Carlos Correa is not in the lineup. On Buxton, I think one of the things that the Twins will miss the most, whether it's a game or two or maybe it's an IL stint, time will tell on that, is the lineup is good and there's depth, but there's not many guys in the lineup that strike fear into a pitcher. And when Byron Buxton is going well and he's in one of those Buxton modes, he can strike fear into the opposing pitcher. And if you go through a stretch where you don't have Carlos Correa in the lineup and you don't have Byron Buxton in the lineup, Declan, and then you pair that with, basically starting 3 rookie starters down the stretch, that's not a recipe, it would seem, for a ton of wins, but the depth has been tested all year and the boys have responded. So I guess at this point, until they don't respond, I'm just going to continue to believe that they will.
Yeah, and I see Austin Martin in the comments as an option. I mean, he's been playing a lot of second base because the Twins are down Brooks Lee, too. I'll have an update on him in just a bit. But, yeah, I mean, Austin Martin can play some center field. He's more athletic. But, yeah, Margot in center field I'm not a huge fan of. And we'll see, though, how long Byron Buxton is out. But an MRI for now, and we'll see what the diagnosis is going forward. Next note here on the SKOR North Twin Show, hit the like button, subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone listening and watching us live right now or consuming this afterwards. Louie Varland is here too. Louie Varland was in the clubhouse. He was in uniform. He has a locker. I would expect Louie Varland will actually start tomorrow. He's the probable. Right now it's Bailey Ober. I think they're going to start Louie Varland, and I think for a couple reasons here. Not that anything is wrong with Bailey Ober. Let me just get that out from the gist here. Number one, we talked about this yesterday. You and I did, Ross. They're in the midst of a long stretch without off days. They've played 5 games? 5 games in 4 days, and they don't have another off day till Thursday. We all know also how much the Kansas City Royals own Bailey Ober. Bailey Ober is basically a Cy Young candidate against every team that is not the Kansas City Royals, and I'm not exaggerating. Go look at the numbers this season. If you take away those 2 starts, you're talking about a guy who's one of the best pitchers in baseball. So I think they want to avoid that. Now, I will say that's a gamble because you're putting a lot of the eggs in the basket of the Tuesday result, because if you get the result and get the win today, as we talked about, you get the series win, which is big. You get the tiebreaker. And I'm not saying you just punt on not sweeping a very good team, but it does make life a little bit easier. And I thought Varland did look really good, but I would expect Louie Varland to make a start tomorrow for the Twins and not Bailey Ober. He'll be pushed back to start game 1 of the road trip instead on Thursday.
Some of that, Declan, is that just because Bailey hasn't been through a full season before, give him an extra day as well? That you would like to think that only benefits him, correct?
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah, there's nothing physically wrong with Bailey, and I think they want to also protect him. They want to make sure this rotation, which is obviously kind of being duct taped together here, at least in the back end, with some unproven options, as kindly as I can put it. They want to make sure Bailey's in a good spot. And yes, I think, give him a little bit of rest. He threw the most innings, I think, of his career last year. And this was a guy in Bailey Ober who was left off the wild card roster because they theoretically didn't need him. And he went to then starting game 1 of a playoff game in Houston last year. And I'm still on the team Bailey Ober. If the playoffs started tomorrow, and it's not Kansas City, I want Bailey Ober starting game 1 of a playoff series. He's been their most consistent starter. He's been a horse for them. But I wouldn't expect Bailey Ober to start on Wednesday against the Royals.
That's a great talker, Declan, maybe for a extra innings down the road if the Twins should be so lucky to clinch a wild card spot or win the division, and a lot could work itself out between now and that point. But who does start game 1? Initially, Declan, my thoughts are I would agree with you. Pablo's been very up and down. He's had some really nice starts. He's had some clunkers. Bailey's only clunkers, to your point, Declan, to my recollection, where you would say just not good, would be the two starts, correct, against Kansas City, where he got knocked around pretty good. Other than that, he's kept them in the ball game every game. So that's a great talker. And hopefully on Louie Varland, he can build off of what he did in his last start, where he gave the Twins a chance to win, and they won his start that he pitched. So, hopefully he builds on that. And I know he got better down in AAA, and the Twins were pretty out front, Declan, about talking, hey, don't really pay a ton of attention to his numbers. We're asking him to do some different things. So maybe don't worry about the ERA and the results. Maybe, fingers crossed, that's starting to translate a little bit to the Major League Baseball level. I am dying to know, because I think they're going to need his bat and some big hits down the stretch, Declan. What can you tell us about Brooks Lee?
So Brooks Lee just kind of keeping his legs underneath him. Is what I heard and was told. So he's just staying loose a little bit. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. I don't think he's done much of any hitting yet. I don't know if they'll send him out on a rehab assignment. He potentially would maybe stay back when this road trip begins on Thursday for the Twins. But he's doing some ground balls. He is taking fielding. He's working and keeping his lower half intact, which was obviously very important too as a baseball player. So Brooks Lee, just taking it a day at a time here. We'll see if he does start swinging soon. He obviously was placed on the injured list on Friday with some shoulder kind of inflammation that was bugging him, shoulder pain that was bugging him to the point where that after playing through it, he just simply couldn't anymore. So I don't think this is a significant injury for him, but yeah, he's still doing his part at least to try to get back in time.
I think, Declan, it's kind of weird to say this, but I maybe at the beginning of the year we all thought that he would maybe appear in a Twins uniform at some point.
Yeah.
But with what's happening with the lineup, and again, the lineup is, I don't know, maybe healthy-ish if you throw out Carlos Correa. But this is just projecting. Let's just say Byron Buxton is hindered a little bit. Let's best case scenario, he doesn't go on the IL at all, and he's just out for another game or two. But if he's not, you're going to want somebody like Brooks Lee in the lineup if he's swinging well, because you're going to want that power, and you're going to want... The kid takes professional at-bats, Declan. And the team's been a lot better this year after the first month or so of the year. But they just need guys who can work counts, put the ball in play, and take good at-bats, because what does worry me about this team, and we saw it again last night, but it's never going to change. I think you just have to get used to they're either going to win this way or they're not. When they're playing their best baseball, Declan, they tend to win games when balls are going over the fence. They still rely a lot on the home run. And if you can get guys like Brooks Lee who do have that power but also have gap power and can get some singles, even like our guy Slick Willie, who did have a big home run last night, I think that's going to be key for this lineup, Declan, because if this Minnesota Twins team makes the playoffs, and again, I do believe that they will, you're probably not going to slug your way to many wins. You need to string hits together, and the Twins need as many of those guys in the lineup as they possibly can get. And that's what made last night's outburst in what, Declan, the third inning?
Second, I believe.
Second inning?
Yeah.
That's what made that so impressive. They did all that with 2 outs. Now, I know the home run ball was mixed in there, but prior to that, you had a walk, a 2-out hit, I think a single, and then a 3-run homer. All with 2 outs.
Everything was 2 outs, yeah.
Then they followed that up and got more hits with 2 outs. So coming off of another disappointing bases loaded and nobody out situation on Sunday, I think the response in Game 1 against the Royals was very good.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I discussed with a Trevor Plouffe Tuesday with Mackie and Judd, which you can also find on this feed and YouTube channel, just about some of the exercises that Pablo Lopez does with his breathing and meditation, these kind of off-the-wall things you don't really hear about all the time. So go check out that if you want some kind of cool little intel and behind the scenes on that with Pablo. Another pitching note here also, Joe Ryan, who obviously was placed in the IL with the tricep injury. We were told he was going to go seek a second opinion and a second MRI potentially just on what are the next steps, if there are any steps of Chance returning. I was told that meeting will take place in the coming days, and it's not going to be here in Minnesota. He'll be flying out to go seek that second opinion. So I believe when the Twins leave, whenever that is, which is obviously tomorrow afternoon, Joe Ryan will be staying back here in Minnesota and or traveling to go seek that second opinion on his tricep injury, and we'll see what the diagnosis is on that. The Twins, by the way, okayed that. They wanted him to go do that after getting the initial team MRI here of, hey, if you want to go seek a second opinion to see if there's any chance where maybe you can come back, please go ahead and do that. So Joe Ryan will go seek that second opinion probably this weekend or in the coming days.
There's nothing wrong. We talked about this yesterday. There's nothing wrong with the second opinion. Best case scenario, somebody else looks at it and says, oh, no. Shut it down for 2 weeks, do this, you'll be back in 3, right? That would be best case scenario. If not, second opinion just backs up what the first opinion says, and you really haven't lost anything because of that. I think we're all hoping for the best for him. In a perfect world, second opinion would glean something different. He's back, and he's helping the Twins win a division, a playoff spot, or a playoff game. I think we all know that that's probably not likely, but hey, a boy can dream, and you can certainly wish the best for somebody. And I think we're all doing that for Joe Ryan because, one, he deserves to be out there. He's helped put this team in a really good situation. And two, as a fan of baseball and a fan of the team, you just want him out there. He's kind of a fun, for lack of a better term, gregarious character, and you kind of like to see those guys out there. Pitching is fun, Declan. It's fun when you have a pitcher with a little bit of personality like Joe Ryan does. So let's get him healthy and get him back out there.
Hit the like button, subscribe button. This is SKOR North Extra Innings. Appreciate everyone watching this and listening and consuming this show. Little programming note, there will not be an Extra Innings episode tomorrow. I will be out of town for the next 4 or 5 days, so there'll be some sparse Extra Innings content. But Mackie and Judd will likely still be recording some episodes. We'll have a scoop session also. Bonus scoop session on Wednesday. Our friend Doogie is under the weather a little bit. He lost his voice. That's why he wasn't able to join us today. He's hopefully going to have his voice good enough for Wednesday, if obviously not a Thursday on a Reckless Speculation Thursday. So little programming notes here for you on the SKOR North Twin Show.
Do we have a scoop from you on the diagnosis? Does he have a little laryngitis, the Rona?
I believe he said his son
pneumonia
gave him pneumonia. Which
Ugh.
I was around Dukes on Friday, and I was like, God bless it. I don't want pneumonia. I'm about to go on an airplane. I have a wedding to go to. I would prefer not to get sick. And so far, knocking on wood here, I think I'm okay.
Pneumonia can't be transferred, right? I'm not a doctor, but I don't think pneumonia can be transferred. I had, if you remember back, Declan, a couple months ago, I had a sinus infection and pneumonia at the same time.
Brutal.
It was awful. I went to urgent care, and the doctor's like, you need to go home and not do anything.
Yeah, that's nice.
It was awful.
So what is this a quick hitter you have for me here Roscoe, on Extra Innings?
So our guy, we're gonna miss him, Mr. Blewett, Scott Blewett, works his way all the way back to Major League Baseball. Has a 1-2-3 ninth inning.
Yeah.
Is promptly DFA'd, which is a classic Derek Falvey, Thad Levine move, which is totally fine. Other teams do it. In all honesty, in all sincerity, good for him.
Yeah,
and I got to be honest, I'm going to guess he wasn't even surprised. Like he probably knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yep.
And maybe with a little luck, he stays in the Twins organization if he likes it here, and I'm assuming they would gladly have him if nobody claims him. That's neither here nor there. Okay. Scott Blewett is a great sports name. Not just because he's a pitcher and everybody makes the joke, blow it, oh, he blew it, blah, blah, blah. I want to know from you, Declan, and I'll give you my favorite of all time. Do you have a favorite name of anybody who just played professional sports because it matched the sport that they played or it just sounded cool? And let me backtrack. It doesn't have to be professional sports, just an athlete. There's a couple of great ones.
Yeah.
Usain Bolt.
Yeah, right.
One of the fastest guys of all time. Bolt.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
One of my all-time favorites. I just had to pull this up. I believe he played for the Naval Academy. He was from Hawaii. Last name Ryder. His parents named him Wave.
Wave Ryder.
Wave Ryder. What an incredible name.
That's ridiculous.
For somebody from Hawaii who plays sports. So I like Wave Ryder. Also, if you remember years ago, there was Duaney who played basketball for Wisconsin.
Yep.
And I had to look him up because I always forget his first name. Ruben Boomshay. Great name. Those are great names.
Couple that come to mind.
Some great names from you, Declan.
Obviously, Coco Crisp. How can you not?
That's a good one.
How can you
not? But that was a
Coco
nickname,
Crisp?
though. But I'll count it.
You know, it still works for me. Bull Buchanan.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a good one. I love the alliteration that's involved there. I mean, John David Booty. I love JDB just because of the USC days and the Vikings
You
days.
love some booty. You do.
Yes, exactly. So John David Booty, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of just like other, like, I always thought the name Rob Baronis of the Titans, because I used to change his name to the song of My Sharona, but Rob Baronis. I used to do that a lot.
Rob Baronis.
Yeah, see, I used to do it all the time. I know there's like probably a few other that I'm just like completely whiffing or missing on.
One just rolled through Target Field, Declan, that I absolutely love. Isak Paredes.
Yeah,
that is a great name. Also, Spencer chiming in with a good one. Yeah, Ryan Longwell. He's a kicker.
Ryan Longwell.
That's good. That's good.
I'm cheating a little bit, but
Bill Hands.
But
Graham Balfour, of course.
Yep, Milton Bradley. Great one, Milton Bradley. Trying to see what else we got here on this
makes
list.
You think of the game.
Bleacher Report. Boots Day, player for the Cardinals in I don't know when, but he played for the Cardinals. Boots Day, that's a good one.
We had Boof Bonzer. That was a nickname.
Boof. Yeah. How about Dick Pole of the Boston Red Sox? That's a decent one. I like that one.
NASCAR driver Dick Trickle, Declan.
Dick Trickle, also a great one.
There's some good ones. Oh, here we go. Here's another one. How about this one?
What do you got? I'm not looking at the screen right now.
Goose Gossage from Just Ball for Life.
Yes. Yep, that's a good one.
I don't know who this one is. Orville Overall. That's a great one. Thanks, Carl.
Overall.
Should I know who that is?
That sounds familiar. Yeah. You probably should know who that is. I don't know who that is, though.
I know who Orville Redenbacher is.
Yeah, Captain Munnerlyn. I see him. He's on this list. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
That is a decent one. I feel like Dick Buttkiss was. That's all time.
How could we forget?
Yeah, how could you forget Dick Buttkiss? There's some good ones there. Was it Misty May Trenner?
Yeah, Trainer, right?
Trainer, yeah, 'cause she's married to the Trainer was a baseball player for the Royals. So Misty May, I mean that's a great name. That's a great sports name. Love that one. Yeah, there's some good ones out there.
Oh, the listeners are loving this. We'll have to rehash this topic in about a month.
Spikes, okay. Yeah, some of these are good.
Oh, remember Rusty Kuntz?
Yeah, yes.
The Rust Bucket.
Yes.
The Rust Bucket. Hey, Brad Carlson, what's up, bud?
There's a lot of good ones there. I know Liverpool has a Declan Rice. I mean, just any Declans on 4. I think there's a Declan on the Marlins. Is there a Declan on the Marlins right now? I think there is, actually.
I saw
Declan Cronin.
Yeah,
Declan Cronin. Plays for the White Sox.
I just saw Declan recently and thought of you every time I see who's the Brendel that plays offensive line for the Niners.
Oh, well.
Is that like Jake Brendel? We have Blake Brandel. Blake Brandel. Yeah, or I think it's even Brandel. Was it Blake Brandel or Brandel? Oh, is that how he pronounces it?
I think it might be Brandel.
Technically, mine's German. The real Germans will tell you we're Brandel. Right. I just think that sounds very pretentious, so Brendel sounds better.
Same thing with Zebby Matthews, who is starting tonight. His his real first name is Daniel. He said he's never been called Daniel his entire life. His full name is Daniel Zebulon Matthews, and Zebulon is a religious name, I believe, and forgive this non-practicing Catholic. I believe that's some Old Testament stuff right there. I'm not certain on that. He's a man of faith, so someone just called him by Zebby all the time, and that's where we are with Zebby Matthews. But he said no one has ever called him Daniel in his entire life, even though that is his legal first name. So speaking of good names, that's your little origin story of where Zebby comes from, because I had the same thought process, too, of where that is.
The origin of nicknames is kind of incredible, or you just get a name when you're 6 years old, never to be called your regular birth name ever again.
Right. This is true.
I'm running out of names, but I know there's plenty of great ones. People that are watching this, please, on YouTube, drop names in the comments, because I'm going to giggle at all the ones I forgot about that people are dumping in. Oh, how about this one? I don't even know how you say this.
Zebedee Howell?
Zebedee Howell?
That's a good one, yeah.
Brad's all over this.
Yep, I like Catfish Hunter. Great one. Love that one. That's a good one. Yeah, drop us those names in the comments.
Full circle, Declan. I hope Zebby pitches well tonight. I saw our mutual pal and SKOR Norther, Patrick Royce, had a great tweet about Zebby not necessarily lighting it up at AAA, but hey, let's hope that stuff maybe will play pretty good at the major league level tonight, and You know what? The Royals haven't seen it, so maybe he gives you a good solid. I don't know. That's actually very quickly, Declan. Do we know how much they're trying to get out of him tonight? In a perfect world, would they give him 90 to 100 pitches?
Maybe. I don't know. I would guess maybe somewhere between 75 and 90 is probably accurate. If you can get five and fly is kind of like, as I like to say with these rookie pitchers. So if they can get a 5 and fly out of him, I think they'll definitely take it.
I am going to say there's a few other names, Declan, in closing that popped up in the comments. I'm not even convinced that they're real, so I'll just let them go.
Probably a good idea. Yep, I know exactly where that is going. Hit the like button, subscribe button. This is SKOR North Extra Innings. Appreciate everyone listening and consuming this show. That's Ross Brendel. I'm Declan Goff. Be talking at you guys soon.